Another wild night of playoff basketball. After a blowout loss in Game 3, Oklahoma City came into Game 4 with something to prove, and Minnesota wasn't backing down. This wasn't just another game. This was a battle. A war of wills. Every possession mattered. Every bucket carried weight. And with the series hanging in the balance, both teams showed up like their season depended on it. Because it did. From the opening tip, the energy was electric, the defense relentless, and the shots deadly. What happened next? You'll want to sit down for this one. It started fast. Oklahoma City came out firing, like they had something to shake off in. They did. Jaylen Williams wasted no time, drilling the first shot from the right wing. It wasn't just a three. It was a message, and it was clear. The Thunder were here to respond. But Minnesota, fueled by a roaring crowd, wasn't rattled. Julius Randle sized up SGA, turned, and knocked down a tough mid-range jumper, keeping the Wolves in rhythm early. Then came the pressure. Full court intensity. OKC's defense clamped down hard. Bodies flying, passing lanes closed. Gilgeous-Alexander picked up where he left off, slicing through defenders, finishing with the left. A quick spin here, a jumper there. SGA was locked in. Minnesota coughed it up, and Edwards turned it over near half court. McDaniels made up for it, however, getting back in transition and slamming one home after a slick feed from Edwards. Both. Teams were trading blows, and it was just the first quarter. Naz Reid brought the noise too. Stepping out and calmly knocking down a long three, he gave the Timberwolves another layer. On the other side, DiVincenzo kept the Thunder rolling. No hesitation from deep cash. The kind of shot that silences a crowd. And then it was SGA again. Step back three. Pure. He had 11 early, controlling the pace like a conductor with the basketball. Jaylen Williams turned defense into offense with a steal and a burst to the rim. Already up to 15 points, he was everywhere cutting, shooting, locking up. OKC looked different, sharper, hungrier. A team that remembered the embarrassment of games. 3 and wasn't interested in repeating it. Edwards responded, attacking the lane, taking contact, still finishing strong. You could feel him turning up. But every time the Wolves inched closer, the Thunder answered. Holmgren soared in for a two-handed slam off a smooth spin in the paint. Gilgeous-Alexander, calm under pressure, faded away and hit over a defender. Back and forth it went, and the first half was still burning with intensity. Minnesota's bench refused to sit quiet. Alexander Walker came alive. Again. 4 for 4 from downtown in the first half, he gave the Wolves life when they needed it. Big threes, smart drives, hustle plays. He was everywhere, bringing the crowd back into it with each shot. But it was Dante DiVincenzo's night too. Smooth stroke from deep, perfect timing. Whenever Minnesota made a run, Dante stepped up. Big bucket after big bucket. SGA over Edwards with a hand in his face. Bucket. Holmgren spin move. Slam. The kind of back and forth that doesn't let you breathe. Every loose ball. Every rebound. Oh, it was a war. Wallace hustled for another offensive board, feeding it to Jaylen Williams, who nailed another three. Conley made the Thunder pay with a clean triple from the corner, but OKC kept applying pressure. They had more offensive rebounds than Minnesota in the half. More second chances, more heart. It was intense, physical, every screen fought over, every cutter denied. Edwards got in the paint and dropped off dimes to Rudy Gobert, who crushed, one with both hands to send a message. But the Thunder didn't blink. They never blinked. They came into Game 4 ready to answer every punch, and so far, they had. And the second half was still to come. The second half opened with a question, hanging in the air who's going to break first. Minnesota looked ready. Edwards exploded out of the locker room, attacking hard, slicing through defenders, finishing with a soft touch off the glass. His energy lifted the crowd, and the Timberwolves rode the wave. Conley found his groove too, coming off the screen, and burying a quick three. Just like that, they were within striking distance. But OKC never panicked. SGA remained cold-blooded. Isolated on the wing, he measured up his defender, hit a hard dribble left, pulled back, then launched. Bucket. Nothing but net. That's what MVPs do. They respond. They quiet storms. He had a calm about him that the Wolves couldn't shake. Even when double-teamed, he found ways to squeeze through, either scoring or finding the open man. Jaylen Williams stayed hot. Minnesota threw different defenders at him. None of it mattered. Shot clock winding down, he hit. Corner three off a drive and kick, good. Even when he missed, Holmgren was there flying in for the putback. His wingspan and timing gave OKC extra life on nearly every possession. Wallace grabbed another offensive board. Another second chance. That was the theme. Relentless effort. Still, Minnesota wouldn't fade. Alexander Walker continued his impact, dancing around screens and spinning defenders in circles. Left-hand layup. Money. Then another three. He couldn't miss. He was fearless, putting pressure on OKC's defense and creating plays out of nothing. Dante DiVincenzo answered right back. Wide open, top of the key. Bang! The Thunder bench exploded. He was a flamethrower from deep, and his timing couldn't have been better. Now it was edge-of-your-seat stuff. Tie game. Edwards with the ball, crossing over, driving into the paint, loses the handle. Turnover. Caruso snatches it and fires it up the court to Wallace. Back to Williams, then back to Wallace. Layup. But no McDaniels flies in from nowhere and blocks it off the glass. Crowd erupts. The arena is shaking. This wasn't basketball. This was survival. Alexander Walker picked it right back up. Drives. Kick out. Another deep three. Splash. The Wolves retake the lead. He's got 21 off the bench now and shows no signs of slowing down. But OKC keeps punching back. DiVincenzo, again. Deep. Wet. Another triple. He's up to 21, matching the firepower from Minnesota's bench. With every possession, the pressure grew heavier. Every dribble felt like a decision. Every pass could be a mistake. Holmgren took the ball at the top of the key, sized up Nas Reed, hit him with a quick spin and drove. Slam! The big man moved like a guard. It was back up to 7. But just like that, the Wolves closed it again. Edwards, relentless, powered inside and dropped a quick pass to McDaniels, who finished with touch. Then came the defense. Full court pressure. No breathing room. Williams struggled to bring it up. Caruso harassed the inbounds, and the clock ticked down. Minnesota turned defense into offense, pushing in transition. DiVincenzo back to Edwards. Attack. Hang in the air. Bucket. Just like that, we were tied again. SGA slowed it down. Clock running low. Step back. Miss. Holmgren tries to clean. It up, but gets blocked. Minnesota with numbers. Edwards pulls it out. Kicks to McDaniels. Wide open 3. Bang! Wolves take the lead with just under 2 minutes left. The crowd is going wild. This game was swinging back and forth like a pendulum, and no one could guess where it would land. But Jaylen Williams wasn't finished. He sized up his defender, drove hard, stopped, faded, tough shot got it. Ice cold. He was up to 31 now, and still making it look smooth. DiVincenzo caught fire once more. Another quick ball movement possession. From OKC found him in the corner launches good again. They just wouldn't go away. Minnesota came right back. McDaniels on the drive, spin move, up strong lays it in. 1-point game. The final minute was chaos. Wallace and Holmgren crashed the boards like their lives depended on it. McDaniels got loose again, took it inside, another layup. This was turning into a thriller. And with 60 seconds left on the clock, nobody was giving an inch. Still close, still wild, still anyone's game. Final minute ticking. One mistake could swing everything. One shot could decide it. The crowd was standing. And the pressure? Suffocating. Oklahoma City moved the ball around the perimeter. SGA called for space. Dort cleared out. Shot clock winding down. Gilgeous-Alexander hesitated. Jabbed, drove left, stopped, spun. Falling away money. A cold-blooded jumper. Just another clutch moment from the man playing like the MVP Minnesota wasn't done. Edwards with his head down, full speed ahead, right, into the paint. 3 Thunder defenders collapsed. He kicked it out to DiVincenzo again. Open, fires, hits. Dante DiVincenzo. His 5th 3 of the night, 21 points. His timing had been perfect all game long. Back the other way, Williams attacked again. Minnesota's defense was scrambling, but Williams didn't care. Off the dribble, pull up good. Every time Minnesota tied it, Jaylen Williams had the answer. He was up to 33 now, in complete control of his game. Minnesota took a timeout to draw something up. It worked. Edwards found McDaniels off a curl, drove baseline. Layup? Good. Just over a minute left. It was a back-and-forth avalanche. No lead was safe, no possession could be wasted. Caruso played suffocating defense, fighting over screens, contesting every drive. Edwards handed it off to McDaniels again, who this time spun at the rim blocked by Holmgren. A massive denial. The ball bounced right to SGA, who took off the other way. The pace didn't stop. Dort got a look, but passed it up. Kick out Williams again from deep misses. Holmgren fights again on the glass. Wallace collects the board. Back to Holmgren put back. OKC retakes the lead. Minnesota needed another answer, and they turned to their star. Edwards danced at the top, 1-on-1. Dort stuck with him, chest to chest. Edwards raised Upa contested 3 got it. Edwards with a cold dagger to put the Wolves up by 1. Less than 30 seconds to go. SGA responded, the only way he knows how. Took the ball, isolated on the wing again. Shot clock melting. He drove into a crowd, stopped, slipped, nearly lost it. Got up, found Jaylen Williams alone in the corner. Bang! Another clutch 3. OKC takes a 2-point lead with just over 20 seconds remaining. Minnesota rushed it down. Edwards backed DiVincenzo, another 3. Not this time. It rattled out. Gobert battled for the rebound. Tip in. Miss. Gets his own board. Second chance goes. Tie game with under 10 seconds left. Pure desperation. Pure effort. Now OKC had the final shot. Everyone in the building knew who was getting it. SGA took the inbounds and was immediately fouled. Smart play by Minnesota. They weren't giving him the final shot. Sent him to the line. No timeouts left. Pressure at its peak. First free throw. Good. Ice in his veins. The second, missed. Randall grabbed the board and OKC called their final. Timeout. Up by just 1. Only Smalls on the floor for speed. The play? Get it in clean. Don't turn it over. Minnesota needed a foul. Fast. They inbounded to DiVincenzo, who was wrapped up by Naz Reid. 2 shots coming. The arena held its breath. First one, swish. Second, nails it. 3-point lead now. No timeouts. Minnesota had to go. Ball inbounded to Edwards. Caruso glued to him. Clock ticking. Edwards dribbled up. Caruso stayed in front. No space. Just before he could rise up, foul. Caruso reached, and the whistle blew with just over 6 seconds left. Smart foul. 3-point game. Edwards to the line. He needed both. First, yes. Second, rattled out. Gobert fought for the board, but it was tipped, grabbed by SGA, who launched it down the court, out of bounds. 1/10 of a second left. Minnesota tried one last heave into the paint, deflected by Jaylen Williams. Ball hits the floor. Game over. The Thunder stormed the court. Minnesota stunned. Oklahoma City after. Getting blown out in Game 3, answered with heart, hustle, and cold-blooded shot-making. They now lead the series 3-1. What a response. What a game. This one will be remembered, not just for the score or the stats, but for the fight. Oklahoma City came into Game 4 with something to prove. After that 42-point embarrassment in Game 3, most teams would have folded. Not this group, not SGA, not Jaylen Williams, not Chet Holmgren. They showed up with fire in their eyes and silenced every doubt with one of the gutsiest performances of the playoffs. SGA finished with 34 points, each one more critical than the last. He controlled the game like a surgeon. Calm, deadly, clutch. Every time Minnesota made a run, he had a counter. Whether it was that silky mid-range fadeaway or the perfect pass out of a double team, he looked like the best player on the floor and made sure everyone knew it. Jaylen Williams, what can you even say? A breakout game in the biggest moment. 33 points. Big shot after big shot. He was everywhere. Transition, isolation, catch and shoot. It didn't matter. When OKC needed a response, he delivered. And he wasn't alone. Chet Holmgren didn't stuff the stat sheet, but his impact was undeniable. 4 blocks, countless contests, multiple putbacks. His timing on the glass was surgical, and his ability to switch on the perimeter made it nearly impossible for Minnesota to get easy looks late. Every second chance bucket he created kept the Thunder alive when things looked shaky. On the other side, Minnesota fought with everything they had. Anthony Edwards left it all out there. His late Game 3 was ice cold. 27 points, relentless, drives, and big-time passes when the defense collapsed on him. But OKC's defense made him work for every inch. Caruso's energy, Dort's hustle, Holmgren's presence, it added up. Even when Edwards scored, it never came easy. And how about Dante DiVincenzo? Off the bench, he was fearless. 5 threes, 23 points. He played like a man possessed. Every time OKC tried to break away, he reeled them back in. But in the end, even his shooting couldn't close the door. Minnesota had chances. That final minute, Edwards' missed free throw, Gobert's second tip, McDaniels' spin move getting denied. All moments where the game could have flipped. But this was Oklahoma City's night. They earned it. Every bucket. Every stop. Every rebound. This wasn't just talent, it was toughness. They weathered every storm. The crowd, the pressure, the momentum swings. They stood in the fire and didn't blink. That's what champions do. And now, with a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals, the Thunder are just one win away from the unthinkable. A trip to the NBA Finals. But don't expect Minnesota to go quietly. They've shown heart all year. They've answered adversity before. Game 5 is going to be a war. One team trying to close it out, the other fighting to keep their season alive. Every possession, every foul, every loose ball, it's going to matter. So if you thought Game 4 was wild, you haven't seen anything yet. Oklahoma City 100, Minnesota 97. Series. OKC leads 3-1. What a night. What a battle. Oklahoma City survives the storm and now stands just one step away from history. Their young core, their fearless leader, and that relentless defense, it's all coming together at the perfect time. But Minnesota's not done yet. Game 5 shifts back to their home floor. Expect fire. Expect urgency. Expect a fight. Because if we've learned one thing from this series, it's that no lead is safe, and no moment is too big for these two teams. The story isn't over. It's only getting better. Game 5 is coming, and it might just decide everything. This wasn't just another playoff win. This was a statement. Oklahoma City has gone from a young, rebuilding team to legit title contenders, and they're doing it with swagger, grit, and unshakable belief. Every player stepped up. Every possession was a battle. And every shot had weight. That's what playoff basketball is all about. But now comes the biggest test. Game 5. Minnesota will be back home. Their crowd will be loud. Their backs are against the wall. Win or go home. You know Anthony Edwards won't go quietly. You know Rudy Gobert will try to own the paint. You know DiVincenzo wants another chance to go off. The Timberwolves are wounded, but dangerous. And OKC? They can smell it. One more win. One more fight. One more chance to close the door and punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. Will the Thunder finish the job? Or will Minnesota rise? From the ashes and force a Game 6, one thing's certain, you won't want to miss it.